Fun with failure.
Hello and welcome to the first edition of Fun with Facepalm. As we all know, there are a large variety of people out there. We all make mistakes and screw up from time to time. Regardless of how good of a person we are, you are bound to make poor mistakes in judgment when it comes to your relationship with others. I have faith that most of you are willing to own up to this fact and realize that it isn't something to be ashamed of, but take responsibility for it. That being said, some people out there refuse to take responsibility for their mistakes, and they let their stupidity shine. So, we either laugh with you, or we laugh at you. And besides, you can't beat stupid out of someone. So in celebration of this ridiculousness, I have compiled some stories from Reddit that I'd like to share with you, for your listening pleasure. So sit back, enjoy, put on your padded mittens, so you don't bruise your foreheads, and here we go. So, I was in everyone's favorite store, Wally World. Yes, warning sign number 1. I was leisurely browsing amongst the movies when I became faintly aware of a man dressed completely in black, staring at me. Shrugging him off, I continued browsing movies, stopping to look at the horror section. At that moment, I felt a tapping on my shoulder. I turned. Behold, it's the man in black. That's when I spotted the white on his collar. I asked him if something was wrong. Yes, I've been waiting for your help. I've been trying to find a good movie to show to my church. Sorry, sir, I actually don't work here, and I have no idea what your church would like to see. Note, I was wearing a dark blue shirt with Chuck Norris facts on it, and tan cargo pants. Not Walmart attire in any way. So he glares at me and says, I was told that my help will be over here, and it's you over here, so you must be my help. Again, sir, sorry, but I don't work here. Yes, you effing do. Now help me find a effing movie. At that point, admittedly, I was shocked to hear a priest say that. So I answered, aren't you a holy man? The look he gave me could have killed me. So I gave him the exorcist and walked away. My boyfriend and I were at Hy-Vee catching a sale, split chicken breast for 99 cents, God tier. We had purchased a very reasonable 25 pounds of chicken and loaded it up into my car. My boyfriend goes and starts up the AC, and I go to gently shoot the cart into the stall. Well, the cart had squeaky wheels and I missed. Dang it. Oh well. It's time to be a decent human and fetch the not far off cart. As I'm putting it back, I notice a few carts that were close but not in the corral. Well, that's crappy, and it looks like it's going to rain, so I know that as soon as it gets slow, some poor kid will have to get soaked trying to fetch the carts. This will save him a few moments, and we aren't doing anything, so I'm wearing a purple and white sundress, a floppy hat, and flip-flops. I can't remember if it was Sunday, but it looked just like I came out of church. I'm replacing the last cart when, bang! Son of a, ow! The cart hit my butt and back. Ouch. I wheel around because what the heck just happened? Did someone just hit a cart with their car? Nope. The only thing I see is this snotty looking 20-something-year-old chick. Like, what the heck? And I say as much. I can't believe that you speak like that at work. But at least you're actually doing something. Put this away. I'm confused. I live in the Midwest. Even the rich people are poor. Where the heck did this entitlement come from? Earlier that day, I had a woman brush up against me in the grocery section, and she spent 6 minutes apologizing before helping me pick out a watermelon. She starts to walk away, and I will admit, I have no tolerance for bullcrap. And I'm awake this time. I gently push the cart into her, and she makes a show of almost stumbling. Now this cart was maybe going the speed of a ball on a slight incline. It was slow. How dare you, that hurt! I think you twisted my ankle! Blah blah blah. Manager, girl, I don't work here, and you just hit me a lot harder with your cart and entitlement. Now sitting on the ground wailing, of course you work here, I saw you putting away carts. I'm wearing a sundress. I don't care if you're one of those weird Amish people. I don't think she knew how the Amish worked. Get your manager. I tell her to get up, because pathetic is not a good look on her, and I walk away. Okay, she was still screaming, but it was more dramatic if you imagine her dumbstruck. My boyfriend is sitting in the car laughing. I don't know how much he caught, but he was no help. We go home and joke about the Queen of Corn. I'll make this short and sweet. I'm a paramedic in New York City. My uniform is plastered with mentions of that fact. I drive a big white truck with lights on it and the Star of Life with big bold letters saying ambulance. But somehow, at least once a week, some eagle-eyed rocket surgeon manages to call me a police officer. My response is often swift and silent. I simply point to my left shoulder, allow them to read my agency patch, and only if the point doesn't get across, then I simply say out loud, "Wrong patch!" Unbelievably, when that doesn't get the point across, I just tell them to call the police or maybe I can do it for them. One night we were closed. Not closing, but closed. We had sent out the "Please take your items to the register and pay for your purchases" page over the intercom about a half an hour ago. Turned off the freaking lights, turned off the music, done our walkthrough to check for any customers, pulled the shutters down, and had our coats on. Our walkthroughs are very thorough, so I have no idea where this woman was hiding. But I looked back at the registers as I was zipping up my coat, and someone was unloading their freaking carts on the till. This was about 10 minutes after the lights went out. The store was quite literally pitch black, save for a few emergency lights. So I have no freaking idea how this woman didn't get the hint. Me and my supervisor walked up to her and we had the following exchange. Ma'am? We closed about 20 minutes ago. You are gonna have to leave." "What? Well, why didn't anyone tell me?" We did page, and we turned off the lights." "Ma'am, I'm sorry. There is no way I can ring you through." "Well, this is just horrible customer service. How am I supposed to feed my family?" "Maybe don't go shopping at 10 p.m.? "I'm sorry. You can come back tomorrow, but we really have to lock up now." "Whatever. I'll finish my shopping elsewhere." Then she walked up to the automatic doors that had big steel shutters over them and started waving her arms at them to open. We ended up having to escort her through the employee exit. Spent another 10 minutes putting up all her freaking groceries. So, after all my experiences with the general public, this has been one of the craziest, wildest, most dumbfounding thing I've ever seen. I've never experienced someone having a complete and utter meltdown over nothing. This happened today. I had to pick up some kitty litter and garbage bags on my way home from work, so I stopped at Kroger to get said items. Naturally, I got really distracted and started wandering in the frozen aisle, as I was struck with the need to get ice cream. I noticed a young man in the aisle with me, mainly because he was fairly attractive. He was a Hispanic guy, tall and wearing a soccer jersey, and sweatpants that had been cut to be shorts with flip-flops. Like I said, I only noticed him because he was cute, and he also seemed very young to me, maybe late teens, early 20s. And as I just turned 30, I noted his hotness but dismissed it. I was searching the ice cream for one that doesn't have anything that I'm allergic to. A time-consuming task, unfortunately. When I heard a woman's voice, it took a minute to realize that the voice was slowly getting louder and louder, repeating, "Excuse me," with increasing agitation. I look over, drawn by the loud noise, and I saw a woman standing behind the young man. She was looking more and more angry as she kept demanding attention, and I, being a busybody as I am, could not look away. She eventually reached out and jabbed her finger into the young man's shoulder. He spun around, and I mean spun around, looking utterly startled. She immediately lit into him. "I've been trying to get your attention forever. How dare you ignore me? When you're paid for your crappy customer service, I need help." Yada yada yada. I realized with my own slow, dawning confusion and horror, the same emotion you'd feel when watching a Chihuahua pick a fight with a St. Bernard and seeing a car crash, that she thought that he was an employee. I honestly couldn't look away. The woman was getting more and more angry, and the young man began to flash his hands at her. I realized abruptly that he was deaf. It's pretty obvious. He was pointing at his ear rapidly and trying to sign. This only infuriated the woman even more, and she started swinging her hands around, saying, "Look, I can do that too. Show me where your frozen pizzas are, dang it." The young man was starting to look really terrified, and I couldn't help but step in. I work in social work, currently with addicts, but before that I was in foster care, and before that I was a security guard and a bouncer for years and years, and before that I was in the military. So I have a strong urge to butt into any or all things that didn't involve me if I feel a vulnerable party needs to be protected. I briskly walked over and I gently pulled the kid away. I explained curtly, but politely, to the woman that he clearly did not work here, and he was most likely deaf, and could she please calm down? She was causing a scene. She accused the young man of lying to get out of his job, that he was faking being deaf. And how the heck did I know he was deaf? I pointed out that he was fairly clearly signing, and he was still doing so behind me. She challenged me. If he's deaf, tell me what he's saying. I just stared at her. I don't speak American Sign Language. I explained this and point out that it was pretty freaking clear that he didn't hear, and she can go F off somewhere else. The brash language triggered her or something, and she attempted to grab me. Besides being a former bouncer, I had PTSD, and if I could walk around with a sign attached to me saying in big letters, "Do not touch," I would. My first instinct was pretty much to slap my hand out, unbalancing her and sending her careening into the nearby glass case. Now, I'm like 5'7" and about 160 pounds, and in my office clothing, so I don't look intimidating, but I can if I want. I squared my shoulders and I tried to make myself as big as physically possible. The lady proceeded to lose her absolute crap. She started bawling, leaning against the glass case, and saying that I'd broken her spine or something, sliding down and kicking her feet against the till and screaming and wailing at the top of her lungs. I swear to God, every Kroger employee in the store probably converged on the location in seconds. I quickly explained what was going on to the first employee, and then to the manager, who appeared just as quickly. The manager took one quick look at me, then the poor kid who just looked like he wanted to die of embarrassment and terror, then to the woman who was still screaming about how I've broken her body and call the police. Then the manager swung about and started rapid-fire signing to the young man, who looked so relieved that he was about to cry. Then she turned to the woman, then told her in her coldest, most frosty voice I've ever heard in my life that the cops would be called, but it wouldn't be for me, nor the young deaf man, facing their wrath. The woman just stared at me blankly, going completely pale, and then got up and sprinted from the store, miraculously being healed from her broken body. The police were called. We filled out a complaint, but being that she left, there wasn't much we could do. The nice young man emphatically, if a little shakily, signed "thank you," the only sign I really know, and we parted ways each with a $100 store voucher thing. I drove home and promptly cracked open a bottle of wine, because actually, what the actual heck? Still in shock, the only thing I can think is the lady must have some mental issues. But I mainly feel so bad for the kid, being in such a hostile situation with no way to communicate. Poor guy. This one encounter happened sometime last year. I'm a nurse. Anyway, I'm a guy. I work for a very well-known outpatient clinic in my area. I happened to have a long enough lunch break that day that it allowed me to drive to the nearest big chain grocery store. I don't actually grab a basket if I'm just going to get something from the deli, since I can carry everything in my hands just fine. So as I'm walking through the store and then through the produce aisle, someone starts shouting, "Hey, hey! Excuse me!" I turn around to see a short, angry-looking woman quickly waddling over to me. Now, keep in mind that I'm wearing black scrubs with a big black badge that clearly says, "Insert clinic name here," and a name tag that says my name with the RN beside it. "It's very rude for you to walk away when I clearly need help." "I'm sorry, I don't work. As I was saying, I need to find this brand of wine. Which aisle is it in?" Now at this point I'm getting pretty mad, seeing that she was already wasting my already too few precious minutes that I had for lunch, clearly ignoring all the signs that scream, "He does not work here, moron." And she cut me off when I tried to explain that I wasn't an employee, so I just started walking away without saying a word. She follows me and basically screeches like a gargoyle from hell, "Excuse me, are you kidding me?" At this point I had enough. With a blank expression on my face, I blurted out, "I don't work here, I'm a nurse," and pointed to my huge badge hanging down from my neck. She immediately snapped her cart 90 degrees and scuffled off, while muttering, "What an a-hole." It's moments like these that make me lose faith in humanity. One evening, after we finally got the kids to sleep, I ran out to pick up some food and supplies. I'm walking across the parking lot towards an entrance at my local dollar store. I'm wearing the lazy office appropriate attire, slacks, untucked button-down dress shirt, and a black fleece jacket. I hear someone scurry behind me, and then an older lady rudely yells at me, Hey dude! I turn around and I see a scraggly looking woman in her early 50s or so, grumpily pushing her cart, trying to catch up to me. Hey man, do you want this? She motioned to the empty cart. I thought she was just being polite, trying to save me from wrangling a cart inside. So as politely as I could, I replied, Oh no, I'm just grabbing a few things, but thanks. This lady then made a noise that the Appalachian version of the famous English tisk, basically the grunt that somehow communicates disbelief, disdain, and that grunty is perhaps a few fries short of a Happy Meal. She's pushing the cart toward me and says, Well, at least you can take this inside for me. At this point, we are probably 5 feet from the door. I stop, I slowly turn around, then I make like Vanna White presenting my clothing. Oh, I'm sorry, am I missing something? I start looking all over my jacket. Does it say Dollar General Cart Jockey or something on here? I snapped back around and walked into the store. The thing is, if she had politely asked me to take the cart in, I certainly would have. I didn't even hold the door for her. Thank you very much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have any facepalm reading for me, you can submit it to my Reddit page listed below or to my email. Thank you for listening, and until next time, own your mistakes, or they'll own you.